By 15 years of age, he asked his father to enroll him in the army.
He had a career that spanned 26 years.
It was inevitable that he would join the army.
He saw service in the First World War and also in the northwest frontier of India.
His army career started, I think it was in 1923.
This man, has been probably the most interesting man in our family.
He was born in 1884 in a village called Banjore. In 1901, he enlisted in the 23rd Sikh Pioneers at the age of 17.
There was a recruitment going on for the 15th Sikh Regiment. The officer said, if you can wrestle, then I'll employ you. So they had a wrestling match and Ram Singh put him down on the floor within no time.
Jawala Singh joined the military in 1888 as a gunner for the Jacobs Mountain Battery. We think he was 18 at the time. He went to several campaigns in Lushai, in Burma. He went to northwest frontier towards Afghanistan. And then he also went to Sudan.
In 1901, he joined 47 Sikhs. He saw action in Tibet for a few years before 1914, which is when the First World War broke out.
In 1910, he actually became a baptized Sikh, baptized by Ranveer Singh. He was taken to jail for 16 years. My grandfather, great-grandfather, Mahinder Singh, actually was studying in Lahore at that time. So he escaped imprisonment for revolting against the British.
For me, the Tibet campaign particularly stands out because it was a controversial campaign. The temperatures dropped to -25, and British officers writing home to their wives had to use pencils because the ink froze in the pens.
The British were fighting off the Germans in hand-to-hand combat without artillery cover. The commanding officer got severely injured and Thakur Singh took command of the regiment. He won the Battle of Neuve Chapelle for the British.
It was a photograph that my parents brought back from India. The photograph actually is my great-great-grandfather dressed in his military uniform and sitting on his lap is two children. One is my grandfather and one is his brother. In 1914, his brigade was sent to Turkey as part of the Battle of Gallipoli. He was one of the first soldiers to actually support the landing at Anzacs Cove. He was wounded twice in battle, and the family actually conducted a full memorial, presuming that he had died. And then a few months later, he actually came back.
He was here on the coronation of King Edward VII. When the coronation was finished, he was ordered to come and stay in Buckingham Palace. When the king had time, he would call him, summon him, talk about his experiences. And that's where he developed friendship with the Prince of Wales, who later became King George V.
In 1911, my grandfather was part of 147 soldiers who were selected to go to King George V's coronation.
So he attended London for King George V's coronation and later that year the Delhi Darbar as well.
He found himself in Hampton Court Palace in 1919. What were the chances that one ancestor met the other one right here? Recently, I saw his signature in her visitor's book. It's like mind-boggling.
I believe the Indian soldiers were camped just over there in the grounds of Home Park.
Whilst there's a strong sense of camaraderie between the British and the Indian soldiers and officers, despite being the highest rank, he would be subordinate to any British officer, even a British officer of a lower rank.
There were many people within the army who were simply doing a job, but internally they had different beliefs about the British being in India. They're rural people. This job gave them an opportunity to go out and see the world.
A kirpan is a dagger, and usually Sikh men always keep it on them at all times. While he was recovering at the hospital in Brighton, they were treated very well by the British medical staff. Now, he did not have his kirpan on him at that time. So the next best thing was his bayonet that he presented as a token of gratitude to Colonel Seaton.
It didn't really matter what somebody's faith or colour or background was. They were brothers together.
Veterans of the First World War spoke about discrimination, segregation in camps and trains, denied the same privileges as their British equivalents, and denied home leave, for example. And there was a great deal of resentment.
Given the context of World War I and that India was a colony of the British Empire, the most important principle in his mind was a sense of service and duty towards humanity.
But I think their identity was important to them. I think that belief and that faith in their religion allowed them to fight fearlessly.
He was given the Order of British India and IOM. Also, the British Army gave him 125 acres of land in Sargodha in Pakistan.
He was awarded the Military Cross as well as an Order of the British Empire.
I think he was awarded 9 different medals, and 2 in particular. One, of course, is the Indian Order of Merit, which is a medal like the Victoria Cross.
I think it would mean a lot to him being remembered in this way because he was a very quiet, humble man and wouldn't have attracted attention to himself in any way during those times.
I think he would be very touched by the fact that we remember him. He would be extremely humbled by this honor.
So whilst we think it's extraordinary, they would be rather surprised that we've displayed their lives in this historic institution. And they personally probably didn't think it was that worthy of an exhibition.
He would be extremely happy to note that we are still appreciating their sacrifices, and in a grand place like Hampton Court Palace.
The question that I would ask him is, why did he choose to join the military? Only 40 years since the fall of the Sikh Empire. I would imagine at that time there were still a lot of hard feelings, and the fact that he spent so much time away from his family, did he have any regrets?
If I could ask him a question, I would like to get his experiences of London in 1911 as compared to how we know it today.
The question I would ask him was, if you didn't go to college, would you be with Bahadur Singh attacking the fort in Firozpur? So his future would have been completely different.
I would ask him what was the greatest triumph in his life. Getting awarded a Military Cross, Order of the British Empire, or receiving love, affection and devotion from everybody around him. And I think his answer would be the latter.
If I could ask my great-grandfather one question, it would be about his own parents, because I know nothing about them.
If society was told about the contribution of Sikh soldiers, I think the vast majority of the nation would be more accepting of the Sikhs, understand the Sikh values, the Sikh appearance as well, and be more respectful of it.
There was never really any mention of that there was Indian soldiers who fought in this battle, let alone my own grandfather.
The reason it was fought has literally nothing to do with an Indian farmer in a village in India. Yet he finds himself at the center of this war. Without his contribution, World War I could not have been won by the British.
Recently, I discovered a descendant of an officer in the 23rd Sikh Pioneers, an English gentleman. And, our forefathers fought shoulder to shoulder.
World War I was not a war just fought for Europe. It was not Eurocentric. It had emotions and stakes that were high for people from all over the world. So this war was as much a war for an Indian soldier as it was for a British officer.